ferry right there. The island picture. Just want to throw that out there. Couldn't help myself.
Piggybacking on what the chairman just said, is there I got two questions. Is there a alternative to the money if it's not spent on the bridge project? Could it go towards a ferry or some sort of?
Not the state infrastructure bank money. Nope.
No, I'm throwing the state out, because.
So there's three sources of funding. One is the state infrastructure bank, which we applied with a specific application. So it's a specific use. The DOT funding is for the replacement of a portion of the bridge, one of the bridges.
Let me ask another question. 526 has been in the state infrastructure bank for hundreds of years. Is that money still safe? 526?
Their money?
Yeah. It's,
I can't-
I think we
yeah.
in the same boat now, I think.
Well, so they're a little bit more long in the tooth than we are. But you never know. In general, let me tell you this. The state infrastructure bank doesn't want to take away anybody's money. They're a bank and they want to see their investment made whole because they're investing into the state and they want to see the state progress. So that's their last resort. However, if there's other priorities that present themselves, it's totally within their right and opportunity if they need to remove money from one project and take it to another.
Sure.
But that is not their first option.
Yeah. And the other one is that you mentioned cost overrun. If we do have a substantial cost overrun, is that going to be borne by?
So currently, the way the contract is with the SIB and the way our funding is with DOT is that the county is the sponsor of the project and takes all risk for project overruns. So can that be renegotiated with both those parties?
Sure.
Possibly, but currently as all of our contract funding is, we are the risk holder for that overrun.
Anyone else? You're off
All
the
right.
hook, Jared.
Brittany,
Now I'm on the wire.
all right, go for it.
Thank you. That's mine. Thank you.
No, that one's mine. This
That
one.
one's yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so hopefully my update's a little bit more positive. In 2018, Stantec did a corridor traffic study of Ladies Island and identified 9 separate projects. So the projects, as you see here on the board, they have been divided out into 2 separate contracts. One is the US 21 Business 21 and SE 802, along with Beaufort High School realignment, and that's Stantec Consulting. And then we have the access roads, as you can see identified in purple on the screen. Those access roads are contracted with Davis and Floyd Engineering, and all of the projects I'm going to give a quick update on for you. Prior to that, I mentioned I was going to bring back up the bonding. So we did not bond. Therefore, we didn't have any projects that we could start except for Sam's Point Turn Lane due to our internal local funds. So bonding is a huge thing in order for us to progress in these projects as soon as those funds are collected. A couple numbers for you. The first collection of the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2019, we only collected about $3,500. It wasn't until that next quarter that we were able to really bring money to the county, and that was $13.2 million. That point, which was September of 2020, is when we were able to really get moving on soliciting our advertisements for our engineers to get these projects moving. So starting off, the Sam's Point Turn Lane, that was complete in November 2021. Like I said, we were able to use local impact fees in order to get that done. Airport frontage phase 1, which you'll see over on the far right, that is Lost Island to the intersection of 21. That one is in construction and it's anticipated to open, though there will be some punch list items to complete as of March of this year. The next one up on the screen we're going to take a look at is going to be your Ladies Island Middle School realignment or access road. That road is approximately 70% design, and we have received authorization by SCDOT in order to begin the right-of-way process for that. Along with that project, we're also looking at going ahead and doing the signalized intersection at Gay Drive with Airport Frontage Road to ensure that we have safe access to the road. Additionally, we did add a sidewalk to Robin Drive. There's a residential community off of Robin that attend the school, so the students will be able to walk. For Hazel Farm and Gay Drive, that's at the bottom right quadrant of the screen. That project is also 70% designed. We are waiting right-of-way acquisition from SCDOT. We're anticipating that the acquisition will begin in about the third quarter of this year, with construction anticipated to be the fourth quarter of 2025. Sunset Miller, on your top left quadrant of the road, that one's at 50% design. It's been a little tougher. There's a lot of stormwater and drainage hurdles that we've had to tackle. So that one, right now, we have anticipation of our right-of-way to be the third quarter of 2024, and not going until, 2025, and not construction bidding until the third quarter of 2025. And then your mainline corridor project, that one's also 50% design. Right-of-way acquisition and construction schedules are dependent on additional funding. So right now, all the projects on Ladies Island are approximately $42 million deficit right now, which, as you know, has been added to the potential referendum for 2024. Some projects did get put on hold. Mayfair Court Extension, kind of in the center of the upper left quadrant. Due to public comment, the constituents did not want the road to connect to a private road. Therefore, we put that project on hold, which was solidified by resolution, I believe, in 2020. Beaufort High School realignment, there was 5 alternatives that have been looked at all throughout the years. We have vetted that process. It was put on hold also due to a resolution. We'll be taking a look at a possible new alignment with the Ladies Island Village Center master plan, which is currently being worked on with the city of Beaufort and the county's planning departments and engineering departments.
Can we ask a question?
Yes.
Chairman?
Absolutely.
The Beaufort High, that was very painful public process when that went through. Is that going to be included in the next referendum funding for something to be done there?
So we're going to take a look at maybe additional alternatives as far as the Ladies Island Village Center is concerned. We'll be taking a look at that, but I don't believe it's identified in the referendum for 2024.
Well, it's part of the overall cost is 72 million. We've got 30 from current sales tax, and then we've got 40 in the future sales tax as far as identified. So that is captured in part of that 40 million.
That's enough. Thank you.
Thank you. And the Meadowbrook Drive extension, this road has been put on hold as we're unable to contact the one property owner that we need. So just to kind of give that to you in a list, once again, you're completed in construction and design and the projects that are on hold. The fun one, the sidewalks and multi-use pathways. This one was 24 locations, but consisted of 31 roadways. Because council realized that $10 million wasn't going to get us very far within that list of 24, there was a resolution that was passed to prioritize those down to 14. After we went to public comment in the fall of 2020, 8 of those roads were then recommended that would fit within our $10 million budget for both design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction. As you know, we had an overcollection of our sales tax, so we did come forward and you approved a allocation of $15 million to go towards the sidewalks and multi-use pathways, so that bringing us to a total of $25 million. So we were able to add some additional projects in there, bringing it up to 17 full projects. One of the oddballs is something like Laurel Bay. It is in the referendum, but we received a very generous grant from the South Carolina Department of Veterans Affairs that covered the majority, 80% of that project. So we were able to do some modifications to ensure that we could get that project in. And thank you for those that attended the ceremony. So I'm going to give the updates for these projects from north of the Broad down to south of the Broad. So starting off, and you're going to forgive me because there we go. Mine are kind of a little out of order. So Big Estates Road, currently it is identified for an 8-foot multi-use pathway on Big Estate from Highway 17 to Big Estate Circle. It's approximately 1.5 miles, and that is about 30% complete in design right now. Yes, the yellows are the priorities that are listed. So I won't be talking about the ones in white. Stewart Point Road, that one is in right-of-way acquisition. As we speak, we have, I believe, 38 parcels that we will have to communicate with in order to receive the acquisition of land needed to put that multi-use path in, and that one's 8 foot. That's going to be from US 21 to Delaney Circle. Is there any questions about those two before I move on? No?
If I might,
Yes, sir?
the Big Estate Road, it comes out of Big Estate to Highway 17 and then it goes down, that leg goes down to, I believe it's Jenkins Road.
So the US 217 pathway extension is not one of the projects that we're currently able to fund. So it's going to hit from Big Estates, circle up at the northern portion, coming straight down to 17.
Okay.
We won't be going any further than that at the moment. But when we have some additional funding opportunities come available to us, we'll make sure that we complete this referendum in whole. All right, this one's a little bit messier, starting off at Salem Road. So there were 3 projects in the Salem area. We have Salem Road, Old Salem Road, and Burton Hill. So Salem Road is approximately 55% designed. It's an 8-foot multi-use pathway located on the right side of the road. Old Salem Road is lower down on the priority. It got added with the additional funding, Old Salem and Burton Hill, but those have both been surveyed and are in preliminary design. Depot Road is in right-of-way acquisition. There are 2 property owners that we are currently working with in order to get this project let for construction. And that one, along with Stewart Point, are also partially funded through the Community Development Block Grant.
Can we go back just for a second?
Yes,
to
ma'am.
the Salem Road complex? I get a lot of questions about that one. Any challenges with landowners in that area, or?
We haven't made it to the right-of-way acquisition phase yet. The reason that this one has been a little slower than anticipated is there is a small creek that we are going to have to look at some type of boardwalk structure that's going to be beside the roadway, and making sure that we're handling all of our permits when it comes to affecting those wetlands right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Middle Road. Middle Road is approximately 65% design. That is a 8-foot wide shared use path from Walnut Hill Street to Sam's Point Road at the roundabout. That one, we've also been experiencing a lot of design issues. It's very flat land, surprisingly, over there. So trying to get that water to flow in the area that we need when we add this multi-use pathway has been a struggle that we've been working through. But yes, that one's 65%, so we should be looking for authorization of right-of-way within the next quarter. Meridian Road is one of the ones that,
On the authorization of right-of-way, just so you understand, so all these projects, we have an agreement with DOT on the permitting process. And the authorization at certain segments, we send it in for review. So at 30%, we send it in for review. And then at 60%, we send it in for review, and 60, 70, somewhere in there. And then at that point, we can't start the right-of-way acquisition until we get that check off from DOT. And then once we start that, we can continue design, and we have 2 tracks. We have design going and right-of-way acquisition going at the same time. Then a lot of times, if we have a lot of parcels, the design beats the right-of-way acquisition. If we have a lot of environmental permits, it might be the opposite, where the right-of-way acquisition beats the design. Once we have them both fully complete, then we can let it for construction. But when you hear her referencing DOT authorization, that's what that right-of-way authorization is.
Meridian Road, we were able to add with the additional funds that were allocated to the program. So Meridian Road is going to be a 10-foot wide multi-use pathway. Right now, that road has a lot of big, beautiful trees that we will be working around to save. So this one has been, we're in discussion on which side of the road it's going to be. But either way, we will also be adding a little extension onto Yeoman's Drive to ensure that anybody walking in that area trying to get to Beaufort High School will be able to do so safely on a pedestrian accommodation. Dr. MLK Junior Drive, that road is approximately, sorry about that, 65% design. Right-of-way acquisition is anticipated to begin in the second quarter of 2024. We have been working with the Penn Center diligently to have discussions about how that crosses their frontage of the Penn Center property. But this project will go from 21 all the way up to Jonathan Francis. And as you may know, there is a multi-use pathway down Jonathan Francis to our library. Rebo Road to Paris Island Gateway, this was an extension project. There was an existing sidewalk, that come up right at Ron Lane, and then there was nothing from Ron Lane to the, Lenora Park. So that is an extension project that we have completed. Broad River Drive is currently also in design. It is about 30% design. I know, Ms. Howard, you probably get a lot of comments about what's going on over there. So yes, that's a 5-foot sidewalk on the north side of the road, from Shell Point Road, and we're taking that all the way to Trask Parkway. So that one's gonna be, there's a lot of property owners, a lot of utilities that are gonna have to be, organized and communicated with. So, we are in the process of getting all that done. And then the last one in this area is gonna be Broad River Boulevard and Riley Road. That project is currently 20% design, and that's a 5-foot sidewalk. Then I'm gonna take us down south of the Broad, Alljoy Road being the first,
Okay, my turn.
sorry about that. Let's start with Bluffton Parkway. So that one is currently in construction. Punch list is being worked through. So you should be able to see that full connection from the roundabout up to our, Myrtle Park facility. The Burnt Church Road project, so we have taken out the multi-use pathway as a separate project and put it into the road improvement projects. So we are designing multi-use pathway and a sidewalk along both, one side of the road is a sidewalk, the other is multi-use pathway. The whole length of Burnt Church from Alljoy and Bridge Street all the way up to US 278, but that's gonna be included in the overall road widening and improvement project. Alljoy Road, on the agenda today, will be hopefully accepting a grant opportunity through the South Carolina Department of Transportation's, the TAP grant, Transportation Alternative Program grant. So that is on your agenda today. We are at the point where we are able to let for construction on that project, just a little bit of documentation as we work through the state's process. Ulmer Road and Shad have both been surveyed. But those came in further on down when we received our additional allocation of money. So, those are still in the preliminary design phase.
Ms. Bishop, you just mentioned, the Burnt Church Road going to 278?
Yes, sir.
On design, it stops at the, Bluffton Parkway, so it is going all the way?
Yes, it will, well, there's already existing features on the opposite side of the Bluffton Parkway. Yes, so we'll be going up to Bluffton Parkway, but the whole road project, as the road improvement project, that goes from 278 down to Alljoy and Bridge.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you go back one more real quick? So
This one?
Lake Point and, is that Old Miller Road?
Yes.
So that's we're talking about I know people have been asking for years if
There's-
that was ever gonna connect to be a road, but we're doing a
There's a-
walkway to connect them?
There's a lot of history that goes behind that connection. It has been identified in our comprehensive plan since 2010. It has been in our impact fee list, that connector road. I don't believe a pedestrian facility would be warranted there or wanted by the community unless that road is there. I think that would be the only time
Yeah.
that it makes logical sense to install the pedestrian
I
feature.
think last I checked, it's like one property owner that like put a tree in front of it and everything and like, yeah.
Haven't been back there in a while, but
Yeah.
yes. It was identified in the referendum, but until the road is constructed, I really don't see a purpose for a
Makes
pathway to
sense.
be used
I
there.
agree. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
I actually do have one.
Yes, sir.
Are we planning on getting this information out to people, to the general public for them to?
So we do have websites. So BeaufortCountyPenny.com, all of this information is there ready for you to access anytime. There is a GIS map. It tells you what phase each project is in, approximately how much that project's gonna cost. We're about at the time now, since we've had a couple construction projects let, that we need to do some updates on our engineering costs. So that might be an update that's to come on the website, but all this information is there, along with all guiding documents of the referendum. We have a Q&A section, any public meeting that we've conducted. There's the meeting summary that is on there to let you know what the constituents thought about one of the projects. It's all there. And then this is also in the packet for today's agenda, so they'll be able to access it through the county's website.
And that's great, but that still requires, people to go to it.
Yes.
Is there any, because I'm telling you, my constituents out on Ladies Island, they're frustrated. I mean, they are very, very mad at this 2018 referendum and I understand now that I'm working here, I understand the delays, but Most people don't. And I try to explain it when I can, but still, if there's a way to disseminate that information actively, I think would be a huge help.
Yes, so we're working on quarterly, we've, due to COVID, we kind of got a little backtracked with some of our reporting that we used to give to county council. So we are going to be giving out quarterly reports again for you to be able to distribute to your constituents. This is the best way for us to be able to get it. Like Jared mentioned, it's me and Jennifer Bragg with J. Bragg Consulting that is working through all the public involvement. However, we do have a resolution that requires us to have a minimum of 2 public meetings for each one of the projects. So we do see the public around the area of the project at least 2 times.
But to your point directly, we'll work with our PIO, with Hannah,
That's what I was just
and try to get a fresh push out on this information that we're sharing today, and specifically the handout that you have, that really gets the nuts and bolts on where each project is.
It's really helpful. I really appreciate the update.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very good. And could you maybe send a copy to Mr. Lauderdale, who asked the question in the paper?
Yes,
Where's our money going? This is very helpful.
Hannah can. Hannah can do it.
And
Okay.
one other thing while I got you here,
Sir.
I've had a lot of people talk to me about getting some lighted intersections here on either Ladies Island Drive or Sands Point Road, or I believe I saw an email saying that it wasn't warranted from the state level. Is any of that in this 2018 referendum?
Yes, so the light is identified in the main corridor projects, the SC 802, US 21, and US 21 business. There are signal locations that we have identified as we improve the access roads that would lead to those intersections. So we did take a look, we did a quick a traffic analysis to see if one was warranted at current demand, and it's not, unfortunately,
At Miller.
at Miller Drive.
Miller, okay.
Yes.
I think Dave makes a good point. One of the things that I would like to see us do at the county more is, I mean, social media is free. Facebook, Instagram, as much as I hate to say it, TikTok, all of that stuff's free, and all of them can have links sent to them. With that said, is this something that we can push out? I mean, we're getting prepared to bring out another referendum. I don't see what the issue is with putting this out weekly or information updates
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And my daughter just gave me Lemonade as another social media. I just had to
What is
download
I
that
don't even know
as
that.
another one. So there's lots of social media avenues. The only pushback I would say as far as weekly is the projects don't, it will be a little bit repetitive because they don't move that quickly. So the update, I don't know if it would lose any information in pushing it out that frequently. But as far
When I
as,
say weekly, I just mean like other information throughout the county as well. I mean, I follow our pages, and usually it's just posting what we do here in this room, and every once in a while a groundbreaking thing. I mean, I would just like to see more like information, the tax dollars being put to work out to our constituents.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
are-
That's a
we'll be
great
happy
idea.
to get with Hannah and talk about this referendum along with all the other projects, road infrastructure projects that we're working on today.
Yep.
Yes.
good idea.
Mr. Chairman, could I just piggyback on what you just said?
I piggybacked off him, so you might as well. Let's go.
I appreciate it. I would even appreciate if you broke it out so that you have different section. One of the constituents of saying to me, 278, 170 get all the attention and all the money. And I'm trying to explain that their money will be coming to our area as well. So if you could kind of just dissect it a little and just push out what may happen on Ladies Island, St. Helena, what may happen. They'll get the information in
Yeah,
South
absolutely.
of Broad.
Yeah.
Yes, we can work on that. A lot of the road infrastructure money that we have is tied to CIP lists. So our impacts have CIP lists, our referendums have CIP lists, our C funds through the county's transportation committee, they have programmatic projects that they work on. So yeah, we'll be happy to kind of give you some information on all of that.
We can break it up throughout regions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That'll help. I mean, you and I are gonna basically have our public meetings,
Yes.
so that's gonna happen, and whenever you're ready, I'll be ready to have a public meeting so we can explain, MLK.
Absolutely.
And I'm right there with you. If you can keep me posted when these public meetings are gonna be, I'll be more than happy to be there.
Yes, so the ones in your district is gonna be Middle Road.
Okay.
And then the streetscaping projects for Sunset and Miller
Just keep me posted, like, I said, I'd love
Yep,
to be there with you.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would just, oh, go ahead.
I was talking about the sidewalks in Alljoy.
Mhm.
I've noticed, I was just down in Old Town, I noticed they put new sidewalk up to
On Bridge
Marvin-
Street.
Martin's place.
Yes.
But then it's gonna go straight from there, right, down?
So
And then cross over to Shad?
So for the Alljoy area, so they did the streetscaping for Bridge. That will then cross over Bridge Street and connect to future pedestrian accommodations on both sides of Burnt Church Road. But they would then cross over Burnt Church, and there would be a 6-foot wide sidewalk on the north side of the road that starts at Burnt Church and will go all the way down to Shad Road.
Shad.
Then it'll cross the road again and go to Thomas Lawton, just due to the proximity of those houses being so close to the road.
So you say Burnt Church,
Mhm.
you turn left on Alljoy, right?
Yes,
Yeah, and then it's on the left or right side?
it'll be on the left side.
Oh, it's on the left side?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
But to answer your question, so at the end of the day, they'll all tie in together. So the
Right.
work
They'll
that
be
the town of
connected.
Bluffton's done and the work that we'll be doing will all be connected.
Yes.
okay.
And then Shad and Ulmer will connect to
Right.
those facilities
Yeah,
also.
that I understand.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep, go ahead.
Can we also possibly, I just thought of this, you brought it up, Brittany, the CTC can push some information out too, because they're spending dollars and they're doing things all over the county, and people really don't know, and we wanna hype up all of this work in the county. So maybe CTC at their next meeting, if I remember, or you guys remember, they could put something out.
Yes, we could look
Yeah.
at, we could look at doing that with Hannah.
Hannah's gonna be busy.
Yeah.
Very busy with roads,
And in
Hannah.
general, so we've got 2 projects that are completed out of sales tax, which is hard for you guys to answer when people ask you questions. We have 3 that are under construction right now, and then we've got, I believe, 4 or 5 that will be in construction with orange barrels in the next 3 to 6 months, or 6 to 9 months. So,
I just want to thank Ms. Bishop. She did an outstanding job at Ladies Island Business and Professional Association and took some really hard questions and took a lot of heat and did it very well.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I second that. I was there at that meeting.
Thank
so
you.
Thank you for going out there.
Of course, anytime. If you
Just
want me
a-
there, I'll be there.
Just to touch base on the last part, I know it doesn't necessarily have to do with the sales tax itself, but just things that we all need or want to improve on. Social media is a big thing. It's something that I've been pushing for years to use. I try to use it as much as possible. I want to know what resources or help we can give Hannah to be able to match what the town of Bluffton does. I mean, the town of Bluffton has like 6,000 more followers than we do on Facebook, and they're just a town compared to our county, and they're very active, and they get a lot of response traffic on theirs too. So, I mean, I don't know the answer. I'm not a social media guru, but what tools we can help or to get her to get the information out easier. If we invest money now into that type of program, it's easier for us to get information out for other projects in the future. I think that will do it unless you guys have anything else.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the agenda items then. Number 9, recommend approval to enter into intergovernmental agreement between Beaufort County and South Carolina Department of Transportation for Beaufort County Transportation Program projects. Jared, you're still stuck with us.
yeah, well, so that was a long part of the program, so these next ones will go really quick for you. So this is an agreement, the sales tax program, normal process, if you're working on DOT right away, is to go through an encroachment permit process. In the sales tax 2018, we created an IGA where we work directly, and there's 2 components of DOT. There's a district, which is out of Charleston, and then there's headquarters, which is out of Columbia. Because the program's so large, we have so many projects that are going to be in there right away to work on. We created a IGA inside the 2018 sales tax that we work with the headquarters department on all of our approvals. And it helps expedite the review process. What this is a copy and paste to other projects that we're working on that are outside of sales tax, but some of them may show up on future sales tax. Some of them are just other projects that we're working on DOT right away. There's listed the 9 projects that we will include in this agreement. And again, what it allows us to do is to have that interaction directly with headquarters, which helps expedite that review with DOT. So,
Do we have a motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Mr. Passman, second by Mr. Glover. Any discussion?
Just quickly, I didn't notice, Chowing Creek Bridge on this list here.
Yep, so,
Hey, I don't need no explanation.
that's,
I'm just gonna throw it out there, so you keep reminding me.
yeah,
Okay,
noted,
thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
Can this be done with no objection? Number 9, we'll move on with no objection. On to number 10, recommend approval of a resolution to accept the Transportation Alternative Set Aside Program Fund Grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration in the amount of $1,177,868 for the Alljoy Road Sidewalk Project.
Yep, this is a grant that Brittany just referenced. So this is a TAP grant through DOT specifically for sidewalks and pathways and pedestrian accommodations. They used to only be $400,000, and they've retooled their program recently because a lot of projects were getting funded, but then local governments and entities weren't able to come up with the rest of the funding. So rather than only giving $400,000, they're evaluating the project on a project by project basis. And so we've got a much larger grant amount at $1.2 million. So we're at the point now with all of our design where we're starting to take our projects and now they're appropriately timed for requests for grant application. So this, as well as the Laurel Bay grant that we just received and are working on that, hopefully we'll be successful in getting more grants, but this is, again, a grant to stretch our dollar on the pathway amount that we have allocated in the pathway so we can get to all 24 pathways. And it's 80-20. Our portion is about $300,000 for a total project cost about $1.5 million. And our funding will be coming out of our sales tax funding for pathways.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Passman,
Second.
Mr. Glover again. Any discussion? This will be done with no objection. I see no objection. Number 11, we have Mr. Desai, request for a private road acceptance of, is it Sheeper Lane into the county road inventory.
Afternoon, Chairman and committee members. Before you is the western portion of Shepherd Lane. It's the private portion, about 270 feet within the city of Beaufort. The eastern portion was recently resurfaced in 2023 under the resurfacing program. This western portion was brought to us under policy statement 15 and 17, which is our acceptance of roads into the county inventory. Before you have the rough breakdown of what it would cost to bring it into county standards as far as some tree work, some milling, and some drainage.
Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to
Ms. Howard?
accept this road.
I'll second it.
And Ms. Tabernick seconds.
Question.
Any discussion?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Neil, thanks for the presentation. When we look at the policy statement for the ordinance 15 and 17, correct me if I'm wrong, am I mistaken to say that my recollection says that one of those policies require 6 or 7 residents on the road to actually give consent for the road to be taken into the county system?
I can't recall, 'cause,
This is all the people that live on the road.
yeah. And we've received signature from all the folks that live, the 3 residents that live on the road.
Can you verify that?
Yes, sir.
that question for me?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, you through?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Desai. This road here got a lot of phone calls on from those residents, because the state owns the portion that was paved. And then this leads right into Beaufort High School, but it was actually a private road.
That's correct.
Yeah, so now it'll be a county road, not a state road, right? Are we gonna turn it over to the state?
If you choose to accept it, it'll be a county road.
Be a county road, okay. In the future, then we gotta pave it along when the state paved theirs, we gotta do the same thing, I prefer to turn it over to the state, let the state take care of the maintenance of it later on, but
They
that's,
don't want it.
that's fine. Let's take one step at a time.
Also, this will have to go through council as well, so I can find out that information about the signatory.
Verify that if you will.
Yes, sir.
So, anybody else? I do have a question with it. What, the reasoning behind taking over this road, is this because of the access and the use of the school? Is this where, I'm unfamiliar with this exact area, is it a high traffic because of the school or buses?
The buses
Or-
come.
So, yeah.
The buses come down this way?
Yep, it's a cut through to get to Center Drive East,
Okay,
which then goes into Beaufort Middle.
right. Just wanted to make sure that, I mean, I'm not in the business of taking over privately owned roads, just at request because they don't want to maintain it. But if it's because the deterioration of the road is because of the use of the school, then that makes sense that that's our responsibility at the county. Any other yes, sir?
Yeah, and I agree with you, because it's been our position in the past is not to take over any private roads, because then we set a precedent that any person that comes to us with a private road, but in this case, if it is to benefit the school and the traffic that's down there, and again, it's a small street that's already being used probably by the public, and for us to look at doing that.
I feel like we had the same discussion at Pritchardville Elementary a couple years back. Didn't we, with the access road that runs through one of the neighborhoods that happens to be the same road the buses take through it? I think we had the same discussion and had to go down this exact same path.
But our ordinance, determines and spells out our, position for accepting it into the county. It's in our ordinance, but I just haven't been able to pull it up. So we just need to verify it.
That information, this has to go to county, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, can we just make sure that it's not on the consent agenda so we can have that information and have it on an action item? Would that be, can we request that for the county council
Yep.
meeting?
Yep, we can also send out the policy statement 15 and 17 for
That'd be great.
council work.
Action item. Okay, perfect. Do we need to have a roll call? Mr. Dawson?
No.
No? This will be done with no objection? And I see no objection. Thank you, Mr. Desai.
Thank you.
And with that said, that ends our public facilities meeting. Thank you.
I think it's gonna be a tribulation.